Welcome to the FWOT Show on the Coil Entertainment Network. I'm Rob Steele, that's Jesus Jones in the background, and it's time again for your irregularly scheduled program that is reassuring in its claim that this is the show that lets you know that if it feels as though the world has lost its mind, it's not just you, it has. Now, like I said, this is an irregularly scheduled program, which is why it's coming on 2 times this week, because more things have come up. And one of the things that came up, and I don't entirely understand this, I get a bit of it, but it has to do with the NFL and a quarterback who is not named Colin Kaepernick. No, now we're on to Cam Newton of the Carolina Panthers, who said in an interview after the game this past week, "It's funny to hear a female talk about routes." Now, he's referring to being asked about a specific route by a female reporter, and a route, if you don't know, for some reason, yes, I'm talking to you, Elle, it's something that goes on in a football game. That's not really the point. The point is that everyone said, "Oh my God, he's being sexist. Why should a woman not know what a route is?" You know what? Let me explain this a little bit. Because I am, all for women's rights and everything. If you've listened to the show, which you should have, you would know I'm all for equality for everyone. There is no reason for people to be treated differently just because person A is different from person B, be it in gender, religion, sexual preference, favorite team, which seems appropriate in this case. What he meant was something that I have to deal with quite a lot. It sounds funny. Doesn't mean funny haha or look at that woman who thinks she knows sports. It's not a condescending thing. It's an unusual thing. It sounds funny is a phrase we use when things show up that aren't quite the way we're used to. Now, I grew up in a family that had no women that I know of that liked football. They kind of like college basketball. They would put up with me watching baseball, but, talking about it on the scale that these guys talk about it at press conferences, no, nothing like that. My wife and my daughters, no, nothing about sports. Don't like sports. That's why we have things that are called stereotypes. They're not necessarily a good thing, but they do make sense in some cases. For example, every time September, October rolls around, football season starting, the men are going to disappear into the caves every weekend to watch football while the women go off and do other things. Now, I'll break this stereotype on the other side. I don't like watching football. I don't. I'm a guy. I don't like football. Mainly because of, the new penalty system, where you end up with things like
personal foul, number 37 on the defense, was within 3,000 feet of a quarterback, 15 yards.
Fuck it, hit the guy. That's what we're watching the game for. That's why people watch NASCAR, to watch the wrecks. Hello. Anyway, that doesn't happen anymore. I stopped liking football. That and some prick moved my Chargers to Los Angeles, where no one watches them either. Go figure. My point being, he probably grew up in the same kind of a situation I did, where there's not many women, if any at all, who like football. So when you have a woman reporter ask him about a specific thing in a game, something in the head goes click. That's unusual. Now, Cam made the mistake of saying, "That sounds funny." And the world had a problem. It's not funny. Ha. It's just a weird thing, and he commented on it, and so he's been dropped by Dan and Yogurt as their spokesman. I'm sure that's not going to affect his bottom line in any way. But if you think about this, would it not sound funny? And I'm just going stereotype here. If you had, a manly man, and I'm going to attempt to do this voice, and it's probably going to come out wrong, but something like, Macho Man Randy Savage talking about, hey, Kathleen, are you wearing the new Maybelline makeup because it does the foundation differently than other... Doesn't that sound weird? I mean, doesn't that sound just about as weird as Arnold Schwarzenegger, I'm going to talk to you about intrauterine devices? Really? Wouldn't you not go, that sounds kind of funny? Frankly, this is the same kind of thing. It sounds kind of odd to have a female reporter talking about specifics in football. Not that there aren't any. I know there are. And they're good at their job. But it goes against the stereotype, which sometimes throws people off. Now, my question about this whole issue is, there's another guy who has said things that are considerably worse, but no one is doing anything about it. The guy I am thinking of is named Donald Trump. Donald Trump wasn't dropped by anyone when he said, grab him by the was he? The Republican Party should have dropped him right there. Or when he started making fun of the disabled reporter guy. You remember that? I do. Was anything done? No. Do we know why? Well, might have been the Christian thing to do. If for some reason you happen to be listening while living in Shelbyville, Tennessee, which is about an hour southeast of Nashville, on Saturday, October 28th, you will find something in your town that you will probably find really, really offensive. It's called a White Lives Matter rally, for apparently such a thing will be existing soon. Now, some things I don't quite get about this. It's being organized by a guy named Hunter Wallace. Well, that's the name he uses on his blog, Occidental Descent, because accidental would be a word people use as opposed to occidental, which sounds like something you do with your teeth. Yeah, it's OxyClean for your teeth. Occidental, right? Is that what? I'm kidding. Anyway, he goes by Hunter Wallace. His real name is Brad Griffin, which he told everyone, which kind of, I think, destroys the purpose of having an alias. It's kind of like, I'm Batman. I thought your name was Bruce. Well, yeah, it is, but I'm Batman. Oh, hi, Bruce. How are you? You see how that doesn't work very well? Of course, this is a guy who's organizing a White Lives Matter movement. I can't see him being terribly bright anyway. Here's what I'm going to suggest be done about this, though. Ignore it. If there are any counter-protests, if there's any violence that comes from this, it's just going to make it worse. Let it go, it'll blow over, and we can get on with our lives. Hopefully. This was brought up to me this week because I got a question that said, Rob, gun control in the United States does not work. Why don't you agree with that? And the problem is, I do agree with that. Gun control in the United States does not work. It works in other countries, like, England and Germany and Japan and Australia and pretty much everywhere else on the planet because, there's only, 55 times as many deaths per 100,000 people in the United States as there is anywhere else in the planet combined, which is a bit excessive. So gun control doesn't work in the United States, and the reason we don't think it works here is because we don't have any gun control. See? How hard was that? That's why we want it here, because if we had it, it would probably work. And if it doesn't completely work, it's going to work a hell of a lot better than what we're doing now. How's that? Is that a good answer for you? I mean, we had one shoe bomber. One inept with a bomb in his shoe, and now we all have to go barefoot on flights. However, we've had over 1,500 mass shootings, and the result that we've had so far is the NRA has bought off Congress. Is there another result? I don't think so. Interesting good news that I kind of like this idea. Thanksgiving is coming up next month, which means Black Friday is coming back, but a lot of stores open on Thanksgiving anyway to start Black Friday on Thursday, which goes back to that whole Macy's 2-day sale thing. Yeah, they say one-day sale, but it's a preview day Friday, and they're having it on Saturday. That's 2 fucking days. Learn to count, asshole. Anyway, starting Black Friday on Thursday, I think destroys the concept of the family holiday. And this is not a religious holiday. This is a family holiday. It goes across the board. Who cares what religion you are? Now, there's been a list of stores that have come out, about 75 on this list, and I'm told they're well-known retailers who will be closed on Thanksgiving Day. And you know what? I like these stores a lot better now because it's a holiday. Let them have the day off to spend with the families. You don't need to go shopping on Thanksgiving Day. You don't have to watch football either, but that's another story. The thing I had an issue with this story was that, of these 75 stores on the list, I don't recognize half of them, but that's okay. They're still closed. They're nationwide chains. And seriously, who needs to go to Tractor Supply after they've had a big Thanksgiving dinner? Thank you for the turkey and all the stuffing and everything. I gotta go get me that part for the tractor now. No. Spend time with her. Or spend time with him. Maybe he cooked and she wants to go to Tractor Supply. I'm not being stereotypical. Women can farm just as good. Stupid news out of Alabama. Again. As if only having 4 DMVs in the entire state wasn't bad enough. Now they're talking about instituting a poll tax, which would bar thousands of people from voting because they owe money to someone, like a credit card or a school because they have a student loan. So if you've got a student loan, you can't vote? When the hell did that become a thing? That sounds remarkably unconstitutional and should be fought with everything you've got. We need people to vote, even in Alabama. So what am I saying to Alabama? Roll Tide? How about f*** you? If you have any comments or questions about the show, contact me through the website, thefwotshow.com, where you find buttons for Facebook and Twitter and all that good stuff. You can also email me, rob@thefwotshow.com. I answer any question, because it's my job. And like I said at the beginning of the show, this is an irregularly scheduled program now, so if you want to know when the new one is coming out, the best thing to do is to subscribe to the show. Then it'll come to you automatically. TheFWOTShow.com has links to iTunes, the Google Play Store. I think Blueberry is still on there. Subscribe to it wherever. It's all the same show. It's kind of like, buying a Coke from Kroger's or Winn-Dixie or Piggly Wiggly. It's still a Coke. It's all the same show. What a concept. And just because it's Friday and we've got a 3-day weekend coming, at least a lot of people do, let's leave with a bit of, well, actually it's sad tech news. America Online, yeah, they still exist apparently, AOL, AOL, their instant messenger will permanently shut off on December 15th. It's 20 years old, which makes me feel old because I didn't realize it'd been around that long. So, farewell, Instant Messenger. We hardly knew you. We're still around. Sorry, I dropped AOL 20 years ago. Have a good holiday weekend, everybody, and be safe because it's still considerably weirder out there than it needs to be.